Welcome back to HGC Europe. We have just seen Granit Gaming go up 2-0 over Method. They are now one game away from being a step closer to wishing Roll20 Esports luck in the Crucible. I'm Haloran. Calder, this is not how I thought this series would start out.
Not really, and you can go a little bit farther. If Granit wins this, they are out of the Crucible. Yes, mathematically, there is still a chance that even with the victory here, Roll20 surpasses them, but that would also mean that Roll20 has to take down Dignitas.
Tall order.
Yeah, the chance of that happening, I would put them at 0.00 something. So unless that miracle happens, I mean, pretty much you can say if this series is won by Granit, Granit is out of the Crucible. And a lot of people, myself included, didn't see that coming, at least in that fashion, because I could have seen a 5-mapper, I could have seen like that getting close, but right now an 0-2 in Granit's favor. And I mean, I can see now, like in the draft, okay, in the draft I didn't really see on Dragonshire what the idea was. Then in the game we talked a lot about the amount of unstoppables, of cleansers, of escape tools that were available for them. So it became a little bit more transparent what the idea was with the draft. Especially dodging out in the early game and then relying heavily on cleansing out all the CC. I still maintain that on the side of Method, you need to get more kills if you play this composition. You need to play more aggressive in the early game when your opponent doesn't have a cleanse, when they don't have tools to get away from those CC comms and pressure them more. So Method is currently really making a lot of misplays and playing way more timid than I expected. There's a lot on line, I get that. So you want to play safe.
Right. But
they're an aggressive team, and you need to find that middle ground where you are not getting too aggressive, but you are still showing your opponent that you're there to win. And currently, I don't get that from Method. So for their sake, I hope they can step it up. But we'll see. Maybe Granit Game walks away with 3-0 victory here.
See, we shall. Game number 3 is ready. Will Method be able to turn things around and make this the beginning of the reverse sweep? If so, they'd have to take down Granit Gaming on Volskaya Foundry.
Yep, Granit on Volskaya against Method. Both teams have the exact same track record here. 2 wins, 4 losses. Traditionally, it was the map of Method, of ADRD, when he brought in with Zealots at the Western Clash. Right now, them and Roll20 pretty much eye to eye here. Roll20 is happy to take that map. Could have seen them pick something else too. There's a couple of good maps for Roll20, but that's definitely a good choice that they have right now. And I mean, Method, bring it. I want to see something. I mean, are you here to win? Because I'm not quite sure anymore. Like, there's a couple of moves in the last game that really disappointed me. More aggression in the early game. Don't wait for them to have 3 cleanses if you really want to take this. And then Bad Benny a little bit too far out at that last moment. That death on Muradin. Again, I'm not saying that that necessarily lost the game. Dragonite might have finished it anyways. But with Muradin around, there is a chance you save it, turn it around. But as it stands, something has to happen. They had 5 minutes. I hope they talk things through, because if they perform on the same level throughout the series, they might not lose it here, but if they don't step it up, they're definitely going to lose the match.
Well, Method's under an immense amount of pressure right now. Even in the interview going into this series, we heard them say, you know, if we play like we have them in the past couple weeks, we could lose. They lose game number 1. Granit Gaming elects to take them to their home turf in Dragonshire and take them down even there. So Method, already feeling some measure of doubt going into this series, are now 1 game away from being entirely swept. Any mental aspect, any deficiency on that front has to be thrown out of the window and corrected right now for Method if they want to turn the series around. Are they up to that task?
I mean, they're in this weird spot also where there is a lot of opportunity to move top, where they can still attack Liquid, where they can still attack a number 3 spot. But the worst thing that can happen for them, no matter how many matches they lose for the rest of the phase, is that they end up being 5th place. It's the worst thing. That's as bad as it goes. There's no way that Granit Gaming or Roll20 overtakes them and takes spot 5. So the worst thing that could happen to them is ending up on 5th, which is still a playoff spot for them. But of course, you want to secure as many points as you can so that you don't have to play less games there. And even moving to number 4 would be 1.
I like that ban on Tyrande. You were not able to really deal with Tyrande.
You like that?
I do, because they couldn't really deal with it in game 1. Method gets Tyrande in the second game, and they don't have the aggression that they would need to really make the full merit of that composition work. So if you can't use it and you can't play against it, you may as well ban it out and not deal with it at all. For Method, I like that decision a lot.
They are first pick. This is a spot you have to be able to play Tyrande here, especially after,
I mean, they've kind of shown that they can't.
I mean, it's one game. Like,
you lose this game, you're out of the series. They do not feel like hanging their hat on the Tyrande.
You're doing your opponent favors right now. You're banning, like, Granit Gaming just got 3 bans in that first rotation, and Method got 1. That's what just happened here. So that is not a good spot to be in, because as we said before, if you're first ban, then right now you're normally in that spot where you have to ban out Tyrande. So that is...
I think it's...
For Granit, this is awesome. This is fantastic. You get the free ban on Abathar, you get the ban on Medivh, and you don't even have to deal with Tyrande. More of that, please.
I think it's more of that unabashed honesty. We're not doing too well with Tyrande. We don't want to give it over to Granit. What's our other option? We have to ban it. It works out for Granit in the early portions of the draft. Sure, you're not affording it yourself. I mean, but Method, they've shown that they can't really make the first pick Tyrande work, or they just don't feel confident enough that they can in game number 3.
After one game, I'm not going to agree with that. Like, if there's more games, then yeah, but the thing is, like, you lose one game, and then you can't just, like, draw the conclusion we are not able to play the hero at all. So that still is maybe a lack of confidence, but if you played scrims this week with all the teams that have shown so far and you watch yesterday's games, that's a ban where I say I'm already worried for them, and they at least get my F. That's the one upside for me right now from their perspective. With the ban pattern that we have, they are able to grab my F because Granit didn't take it. So that's the moment where I say, okay, that could be the game changer here for them.
I'm just saying, man, I'd rather Method ban it out to take it again and not do well.
Yeah,
I think that's the conservative decision there. Thrall is going to get banned out to round out the second round. The bans, Garrosh, Yrel, Maiev. You don't get Tyrande, but it's hard to argue with those first 3 heroes for Method right now.
They have a really good front line, and they have, again, Yrel on the side. This is now the 3rd. This is, by the way, also another thing that really surprises me. The amount of problems they currently have with Yrel. They just lost 2 games in a row with Yrel, considering that Yrel is one of their strongest heroes. It is actually their strongest hero by a lot. 73% win rate with the hero. 16 wins, 6 losses, and they just lost twice with that. Now we now have Junkrat taken, so we have that poke damage from afar. We have Blaze, great for Volskaya. Could have even seen Blaze banned out over Thrall. But with Phoenix still around, I think they were a little bit wary that there could be a Phoenix combo with Thrall here. And Thrall has been played a lot too. But what is the damage going to be? They pick Phoenix for themselves, now it's not taken away. And Malfurion.
I believe the thinking is you have so much displacement from Garrosh, you can throw someone away from the bunker. Maiev can pull someone away from the bunker. Yrel swings the bat, sends someone away from the bunker. Maybe you don't want to deal with Earthquake. Garrosh needs to get out on his own time. The Malfurion solo support, I do like that. Added sustain over a longer progression. The Johanna bit, the Drana pick to round things out. Is that the front line you thought that Granit would go for?
I mean, they like that Johanna play, and in the setup that they have here, I feel Johanna is totally fine. I could have seen them go into something with a stun to follow up with the Junkrat displacement. We've seen Murden, for example, in the concussion grenade, just trying set the stun, allow Junkrat to get the 100% knockback and work through that. So I could have seen that instead. But I'm absolutely okay with Johanna here. I think the draft on both sides has a lot of good tools. We see that for Method, the play around the cage, trying to get damage and slows in. Phoenix for the follow-up, absolutely happy with that. Granit Gaming has a good draft too. Comes down to execution here. Yeah, both teams walk away with a pretty solid setup.
I feel like the Garrosh pick is going to work better for Benny in this instance than any other frontliner. I think Method has looked their worst when Benny jumps in with like a Murden or a Diablo and the rest of the team isn't on the same page and he's just half a screen away. It's hard to do that with Garrosh. You have to walk forward and throw someone back towards the rest of the team. So by his proximity to the rest of the team, I think Method could overall execute on a higher level.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Murden is Benny's go-to hero. Last game he was a bit aggressive in a few situations, but it is something that the team plays around really well, and it is his favorite by far. But they have to step it up here anyways. 80-Arty on Maiev in game number 3. Bad Benny this time on Garrosh. Nick on Phoenix. Ethereal playing Yrel again for the 3rd time in a row. And Curson on Malfurion.
Over on the right side, looking to close the series out 3-0 is going to be Granit Gaming. Meancraft is on Hanzo. Raid Boss is playing Junkrat. Wolf Joe is on Deckard Cain. Dark Mock is playing Blaze. And Nando will round things out on the Bless Shield thrower herself, Johanna.
All right, let's see if Method could use that little break to talk things through, get the act together. or if we're seeing Granit Gaming walk away with a 3-0, because they definitely have the momentum in the series now. Volskaya might be the map or method that attempts to turn this around, but they definitely have to prove a lot here.
Method has so much lockdown and displacement this time. I do think that's going to play to their overall strengths. Granit Gaming, they've shown they've been able to succeed in responding to the engagement of Method, but not to the order of so much aggression on this front line. We'll see if Granit Gaming's up to the task. Clearo finds Blaze. I'm sure he's used to this matchup time and time again with his Euro. He's ready.
So having the solo lane at the bottom established again, because both of the teams are at some point going to look towards that biotic emitter at the top. Like, especially in the early game here, normally it's the even trade in turrets that you're going to look for once that they camp spawn. And then it's a question, is one of the teams willing to go for the biotic emitter, trying to secure the healing pulse for themselves? And yeah, you have to really play a lot around that. So we could see that early team fight, or of course there's a chance that both teams are just unwilling to commit and just letting it go for the beginning of the game.
Neural Stim Pack, the talent of choice for Blaze. Quicker cooldown reductions, that could be the difference between a jet propulsion landing and securing a takedown. We'll see what kind of value is to be had out of that. The emitter is going to be up for debate in the earlier stages of this game. Nande rotates in. 4v4. Caster, man. Let's see how they play.
Yeah, Urel is also in position that he can jump over, but that's a potential kill against ADRD, and the last grenade connects. ADRD goes down. Camp's taken, so is the item, and a method is far behind in game number 3. Losing out on the item, the experience, and also a kill against them.
ADRD was looking real casual standing there in that root. I was just like, he's there at about 25% health. That could be a bad time. You have to flip at the right time. That long range poke, Hanzo doing that geometry. Nets first blood for a Granit Gaming, who are just building up a full head of steam right now.
Yeah. Method is the one that went for the camp against the Junkrat with the mine there. And they have Urel, so there is definitely a displacement around Urel and Garrosh that you can use to secure that spot for yourself. But Granit Gaming just gets the kill, and that is a bad time to be a Method fan. It's not only the item that you just lost, it's also the momentum on the map, the experience that you gave up, half a level lead for Granit. That's nothing too crazy, it's nothing to write home about yet, but it's something that can really add up. And let's see if Method is going to take objective 1, if Granit Gaming can capitalize on the item advantage that they hold now. But that would be a good kill if it happens. And Memecraft goes down. Well done. There's Method saying, boys, we're still there.
Memecraft has 13 seconds to write a letter to Mr. Blizzard. Look, I'm Hanzo. I jumped over the root. You're not going to tell me the roots jumped all the way up there and grabbed me. First blood or the first takedown for Method. That's the kind of setup that they need to have. The Maev pull set up the root combination. They need to have that kind of setup.
Yeah, that's more like it now. So Method definitely at least making sure that Granit Gaming takes notice. So Method signaling, hey, we're not here to get walked over just yet. So Nanda at that front with a wave play again is one of the huge advantages with the composition. And again, move in against Bad Benny. He's trying to hold that spot for as long as he can. 42% for him right now. And the rest of the team is helping out. Urel on the way into. Can try and get that push. Knockback attempt.
Nice play there by Athero, using the speed of the conveyor belt to jump into position, but Granit Gaming are like, actually, we kind of wanted you there. You don't have to jump to get out of there. A lot of poke damage, positive trade for Granit Gaming. 84% and rising for Method, who managed to keep their pinky toe on this objective point. Darkmock could look to step forward and land the jet propulsion, but the throw from Bad Benny could be there. Thero trying to back up, adds that armor over to Garrosh. It's coming down to this.
Yeah, Nanda needs to be careful, but they still hold on to the emitter. Oh, that could be the kill. Benny is low. They keep him alive for now. Everybody tapped, or most of them, but Darkmock is also about to fall here. In comes Nick, but he gets pushed out. There was nearly a kill through Phoenix, and he gets 2. Takes down Johanna, takes down Blaze, the front line gone, and Method is showing some signs of life in game number 3.
Rused again are the members of Granit Gaming. How many times have we seen Garrosh have a completely empty health bar and somehow manage to stay alive and force the enemy team to continue to overextend to try to get that takedown, only to not get it and to lose heroes themselves? Excellent play, excellent bait by Bad Benny. Meant to come away with the first protector. They're looking pretty good this game.
So far, so good. Let's see how much they get out of it. Level lead as they are heading through the lane. And of course, top lane, that's where you want to prepare. You're trying to snowball this hard now. And already they're getting some free damage onto the turrets. The rotation of Granit It's a bit late to react to that. We're still seeing the attack at the bottom. Blaze actually eating a lot of damage from that setup at the bot lane. He might actually fall. Blaze could die, yes. We still have the fight at the top happening. Blaze barely moving out against that Urel and Maiev setup on the minimap, and instead Urel went a little bit too deep and dies in a 2-for-1. Not really a great moment for Method there.
In a world where in a 1v2 against Maiev and Urel, Blaze comes out ahead with a takedown.
I mean, he nearly fell and went deep into the fort, and I think what happened there, at least from what I could see in the minimap, is that Urel and Maiev were both trying to at least chase him down, so overextending a bit, heading into the fort range, and then when you get slowed and maybe stunned by the jet propulsion, it's just the last few hits that come in there. So a bit too greedy, but a great play also from Darkmaw, keeping himself alive and making sure that he even gets a positive trade.
Well, it says to me, Method, they feel they need to make plays. They feel they need to be aggressive like that if they do want to start this reverse sweep around. And when a team gets in that position, even when they have a full level and now a heroic tier advantage, when you overextend, when you get over-eager like that, a team like Granit Gaming has proved that when you try to go for those greedy plays, they're going to make you pay for it.
They have the healing emitter now to the level 10, and they can deck their own camp. Not quite sure on the spawn time on the second turret at the bot lane. We're going to check that out. Alright, 2 minutes, so it's just taken by Blaze. Therefore, you can't steal that away with the talent advantage that you hold. But still, we're going to see a talent advantage no matter what on the side of Method. They haven't taken the top fort either, but they were able to eliminate the fountain. And that's the main objective that you have with the first Protector, to make sure that once the control point at the top activates, your opponent doesn't have a tap option. That combined with the talent advantage that Method runs gives them a really good outlook for the second Protector, and they will also hit their level 13. So it's a pretty cool setup for them right now. But they need to make sure that Granit Gaming doesn't get a kill in the meantime, especially against that Benny who holds the biotic emitter, and then it's all about how exactly you'll play into that second objective.
Right now, Method hitting all the checkboxes to begin the discussions of game number 4. They got the well up top. They're continuing to rotate around. They have a sizable experience lead. Granit Gaming are in a position where they may be forced to either try to make a play before level 13 comes around, or to just take that more defensive posture. Nice two-person group goes on to Ethereal and Bad Bender. The Junkrat Mine from Raid Boss is going to send Garrosh to the back as well. Blaze this whole time has been down there soaking, making sure that level lead stays that way.
Yeah, and now for Blaze, of course, in an ideal world, he would even like to push that out, but Darkmog is currently just holding that lane. He doesn't want to go too deep, and that's the reason why. If you go too deep, then all of a sudden, you will be ganked like that. So good play by Darkmog again. I mean, that doesn't look like much, but if Darkmog pushes the wave out and is farther out on that lane, he's dead. In this case, he could drop the bunker. It's a cooldown that gets burned, but him being that passive on the lane push allows him to stay alive against that gank. So good control here, not getting over eager and making sure that he knows where to position himself.
Darkmog, the wascally wabbit. I thought we could see Granit Gaming try to take that team fight in the middle of the bot lane before level 13, but Method are going to be able to back away. They can just casually wait for that tier advantage right as the next control point shows up. Granit Gaming, how do they respond to this? Do they just go to the bottom lane and try to get a push there? They're going to pick up their turret camp at least to start. But that is a long road before level 13. I think the Protector could get picked up before that.
It's a good move by Method to immediately have Urel at the top. We've seen way too many times in the past that there's someone that is too delayed on the rotation. But now they have to be careful here, since this is a 5 versus 4. So they're buying some time there, but they can't die. That's the important part. AD Artie with an early vault of the Wardens still gets stunned. There's the follow-up. AD Artie gets attacked and dies. And that was a bit unfortunate for him. I bet he did not account for that jet propulsion to skid around the corner like it did and still stun him out. So now time at the top left side on the shrine is actually pretty low. They're trying to stop the rotation. They're trying to slow it down to buy more time for Urel, and so far it's been working out.
Wolf tried to take us to Reading Rainbow, and nobody on the side of Method feel like dealing with that. A valuable resource not going to be available for Granit Gaming. Maiev is going to be back up now. Darkmog again trying to bend it like Beckham with these jet propulsions. He's really doing a good job of landing these stuns.
That was a really interesting Tranquility. I'm not sure if that was really needed there. That's a big cooldown that they just burned. Method needs to be really careful because they have a great spot into that objective, but now we have a biotic emitter taken away. They are really starting to mess this up a bit, and they had a great start. Again, they have the fountain, so that's huge for them. Now we have that 5 versus 5, and they have the 95%. but they have to at some point now make that move. ADR is pushing out the mid lane, trying to get that extra experience. They still have the level advantage, so they can even stomach losing out on a Protector. But yeah, 25 seconds on the Tranquility, that's an issue.
This team fight could tell us a lot about how the rest of this game, how the rest of this series is going to go. A lot's on the line for Method. They need to perform here. They got 95%, but it is also rising for Granit Gaming. Ground check just misses from Bad Benny. Thero jumps in, finds Darkmark. The stun just misses from the jet propulsion. ADRD, does he jump in? He opts not to. The bunker goes down. Bad Benny waiting for the follow-up. Here comes the Riptire. Explodes on the 2 heroes, but the Tranquility's back.
Tranquility just back up in time. Stay a while and listen. ADRD in the backline. Once again, they're going for Wolfjoy, and that's the kill. They got Kane goes down, and they are looking for that objective. They're taking that point again. 99% for Granit Gaming, but that is just not enough, as the Method is about to take Protector number 2, already ahead by 1 level, and they are going to try and extend that lead. Method with a good kill here against Deckard Cain to secure objective 2.
Method prefers the movie version. Anytime we see Deckard Cain try to stay a while and listen, they're not about these books. You can see the lockdown onto the middle 4. Triglaw Protector getting all kinds of value. Nanda's going to try to do whatever they can to stop it. But that was a team fight I feel Method needed to take if they wanted to establish confidence, talk about Game 4, and begin the reverse sweep.
Granit Gaming with a defense attempt now, but the problem is that 16 that looms on the horizon for Method. Not only the Protector pushing in, but that additional talent advantage. Volskaya is a lot about map control, trying to get the extra items, trying to control also the fountains and the retreat points, therefore, of your opponent, and that's what they're doing now. They eliminated the fountain top side. They didn't even waste time with a fort at the top, because objective 3 spawns at the bottom lane, and oftentimes it's the objective that finishes the map. It's either the 3rd or the 4th Protector that usually ends. So with them now completely destroying the bot lane fort plus fountain, there's no retreat point in the upcoming fight for Granit Gaming, and also no opportunity to tap. So in this case, 16 is giving the map control, the experience lead is there by nearly 2 levels. Method again in a fantastic position.
It's a great observation. We see Method playing at 1, 2, maybe even 3 steps ahead. Granit Gaming, they now find themselves in a position again where they're down a talent tier. How do they decide to respond? They're putting a lot of resources into defending this turret camp, and I feel like this is something that Granit Gaming have a lot more to lose in the game. Throw from Bad Benny, sends back Nanda, but they're really committing. The jet propulsion goes in and misses. They want this fight.
Yeah, they are trying to get the camp. They know how difficult it can be when you fall behind in talent. I mean, think how crazy this is. Granit Gaming is 2 levels behind, is missing out on the 16 talent, and they still felt they have to engage there because they don't want Method to take every single item on the map. The problem is, if you lose the turret, it's not only that your opponent has an extra turret. You lose a turret that you normally would have. So now Granit Gaming is in that spot where they are very afraid. There's a great arrow though. Taunt comes in against Johanna. Stay a while and listen, but we still have Nanda going down as the tether connects and Maiev provides the kill. Now they're going for the biotic emitter. Method is taking massive control of this game.
Nanda was walking away and Bad Benny was like, hey, you can still end up in the Crucible, buddy. That taunt is going to be enough for the 5th takedown for Method. They are playing this game remarkably well. Granit Gaming, I feel like they're making some hasty decisions. Nanda, yeah, you're Johanna. You can go ahead and check if the biometer is getting caught out, but you need the Dragon Arrow and then some if everybody from Method is there. Level 16 is now here, a hair late for these last 2 scraps.
If you're Method, what you need to do right now is just don't screw it up. Just, you have everything you want. You have 2 biotic emitters. You're going to get 3 turrets by the time that the 3rd objective spawns. You are on 18.5. Just soak your experience. Don't let your opponent take an isolated kill anywhere. And they're going to be in a great spot. It's not only that they take the items. Again, they deny the items to Granit Gaming. Granit Gaming is going to be in an awful position once that 3rd objective spawns. Unless they get kills now. Unless they find a blessed shield somewhere with a jet propulsion or an arrow follow-up and get a kill. And currently, that's not the case. Method could even hit level 20 around that time frame.
This is one of the first real times. It happened a few times in Dragonshire where Granit Gaming, they have to make the play. They have to make the move. Method's going to be able to see them coming a mile out. I like seeing a shift in dynamic. Nanda, again, does a little bit of detective work, finds that huge amounts of Method are going to be there. Bunker gets forced out. Darkmock starts to back away. Bad Benny is on the retreat also. Both of these teams just trying to scrap for the moment. But Granit Gaming, they are staring down the barrel of level 20 if they don't take a fight sooner rather than
20 seconds though. But you could tell right now the fight gets initiated by Method. It forces the early Bunker. And with Bunker already eliminated, they don't want to take the fight. Even with 16. But there's so many items. Of course, ideally, you want to have that fight on the bot lane, but now this is really the moment where Method can just say, okay, we won it all. You go for the objective. Granit Gaming is going to delay it a bit, at least take some items for themselves, but they will have to fight into an opponent that has a fountain and a fort at the bot lane, that has 2 biotic emitters and a turret, and that's going to be incredibly difficult. And even a bit of aggression from Method. They might even rotate someone in the mid lane since they see Junkrat topside. Probably don't want to spread themselves too thin here though. But half a level away from 20. Even if the fight when it starts at the beginning isn't good for Method, they can move back, hit 20 and then retreat back in.
There's a small window where Granit Gaming could feasibly take a fight before level 20 comes around. And with Junkrat continuing to commit to the soak, it feels to me like Granit Gaming are already conceding not only the Protector, but potentially the first keep of the game. I guess they feel they need to just allow these things to happen, because if they do go out there and die, they lose 2 heroes, that's at least keep, that could be game.
Yeah, with them not moving in, you can really tell that they're just saying, okay, take it. We can't fight you. It's impossible. You might hit 20, especially if you get a kill. We only have a turret. You hold way too much sustain for us to deal with. So we're going to try and set up our defense and see if that works. It's a decision you can make. The question is it the right one? Because the problem that you're going to deal with right now is you are not only fighting a team that it has more items than you are now fighting against a team that has a Protector, that has an item advantage, and on top of that is going to hit 20 in a second.
It's a lose-lose. You either take the even tier fight, disadvantage on items, or a 20 tier disadvantage trying to defend your keep.
Oh, let's see what Taya gets taken down.
This is big.
Yeah, this is a disastrous situation for Granit Gaming.
Nanda steps forward. It's the Condemn. Not going to be able to set up too much. Generous amount of harassment on the Bad Benny. They still have 2 turrets and the Biotic Emitter in their employ, as well as a healthy Protector. They're going to make short work of this bottom keep wall. They could theoretically wait for this minion wave to show up. Method are in full control of this India.
But Granit Gaming has good poke. They have very, very good poke and wave clear, and they use it to burn down the Protector very quickly. So that's definitely the one saving grace for them right now. The Protector already at half HP is great for them. Keep is going to fall, but it's becoming less and less likely that there's going to be a core attempt unless Granit Gaming loses heroes.
We saw Bad Benny throw Nanda away from the team, so that says to me Method is just trying to get this keep and then back out. They're not trying to get takedowns. If someone gets egregiously out of position, then yeah, they're going to tip their hat and go ahead and end the game, but they get the keep. They get what they're looking for. They start to back away. Method, they're making the right choices right now, Calvin.
I mean, Method plays it safe. They still have the level advantage and the Storm Talent advantage, so you want to get something out of that. Either you take more items for yourself, you're trying to siege up somewhere. The problem is, they have really bad siege potential. You look at their lineup and they have a single ranged hero, and that's Phoenix. So you don't have a mage that can just poke against a structure. Whereas on Granit Gaming's side, you have Blaze that is really good to just like spread the oil, set it afire. You have Junkrat and Hanzo who are both fantastic. So that's the reason why they could defend here in the first place. But Granit Gaming is really trying to buy themselves the time to fight for the 4th Protector here. But it still leaves that 3rd Biotic Emitter up. The 3 Biotic Emitters, that's a lot of healing power. I mean, look at this. They actually have to destroy items.
I mean, they're a mobile hospital at this point. They're going to have 3 emitters. But wait, you don't like to siege my end? Kappa?
Yeah, not really. So yeah, they're dropping 1 item, they're exchanging an emitter for an emitter.
They have so many items they have to burn.
Yeah, I mean, you need to you try to get rid of them so that your opponent doesn't have them in the next fight. You still want to have the upper hand in that setup. And as long as they have the level 20 advantage, they can take everything on the map and they can threaten Granit, and that's what they're trying to do here. So a nice move by Raid Boss, but only Athero commits to the point. So he's just like, yeah, dude, you can jump me in, that's fine, but I'm going to jump out immediately. So they're going to take the camp away. They're going to take everything on the map. They're going to make sure that Granit Gaming is not going to have anything and that the next objective can also end the game.
This has been a long road to level 20 for Granit Gaming. It feels like even 4 minutes ago we were like, all right, they'll get 20 sooner or later. Method have all the time in the world to continue to put the screws to their opponents and begin the conversation for game number 4. Method, They could step forward and catch the wrong Junkrat mine if they do overextend, but with all these items in their employ, Granit Gaming, there's such an uphill battle for them to be able to turn this game around.
And the situation in the middle is going to be the same as at the bot lane. You look at the minimap and you realize quickly that there is still a fountain up for Method and a fort in the middle of the map. That's obviously not the case for Granit. I mean, you even have the wall still there. So you're now again in a spot where Method can reset the fight if they just move out of it and tap up the fountain. They have the item advantage. But it's a fight you have to take. This is the only fight that Granit Gaming is going to get in this game where they can try and turn it around. But they go up against 3 turrets, against 2 healing beams, and the only fortification camp that we have is the one at the bot lane that's going to spawn soon. And Method is very likely going to say, we're going to take it. Method even left the turret up at the left side, so they can use a turret, move over, grab the next one, and move in. Like, it's still a great spot for Method. Granit Gaming needs a perfectly executed fight to turn this around.
A surplus of resources. Method are definitely having the upper hand in the late stages of this game. Granit Gaming, they're in a worse position than they were over the last Protector because they didn't have to deal with catapults last time. If this does become a longer fight with all these emitters, with all these turrets, and the well-available, Method can take all the time they want to come away with the next Protector. Sooner or later, someone would have to respond to catapult.
And there it is. They drop the first turret, walk over with ADRD so to grab the one that was still up there. So they have one that buys them a little bit of time. They try to save that for now, and they still have also a stats advantage. I mean, 22 to 20, that's actually a difference. So that's not too shabby. And here comes the poke from Junkrat, and Method is holding on to the spot for now.
There's the root going down. It is going to miss from Deckard Cain. 48%, rapidly rising. Bad Benny holding the keys to the kingdom. Nande steps forward. Darkmog looked like he was pretending he wanted to go for the jet propulsion. Would have been pretty bad for his health. The throw from Bad Benny sends Nande back. Allows Uro to start to back away. Right now, Method, they can just play this slow. Wait for those catapults to take effect.
Yeah, first healing meter is down. They're resetting at the fountain, so that's the reset. They go in. They reset the game, and they go back into the fight. And this is the moment where, if you're Granit, you need to be cautious, because now Bad Benny is going to heal up. They still have a healing emitter, and this is where Method needs to take control.
Bad Benny steps forward, throws again, showing the intentions of Method. We're not trying to fight you, we're just trying to continue to twist these screws. There's Condemn on the Thero, but Arn Defender, everything else, Euro's going to be pretty tough to take down in this instance. Junkrat did go down and try to minimize the bottom wave to an extent, but sooner or later, Caldo, Granit Gaming have to make a move or they have to concede another Protector.
They're making that move. Like, 2 turrets are down. Like, there's actually, like, the items are actually dwindling on Method's side, and they can't tap at the fountain anymore. They already used the cooldown. Granit is in a decent spot here all of a sudden. There's still an item advantage for Method, but they have to flip the switch at some point. They have 3 items still, 99%, and you have to go for it now. But yeah, Garrosh is actually in trouble. So right now you have to move in. You have to make that play, and they're doing exactly that. Thero at the front, dropping the healing emitter. Here comes the Tranquility. A Thero low bunker on the ground. Already the Dominal being used by Bad Benny. A lot of armor reduction. ADRD in the backline, but Benny is low. The Tranquility keeps him alive, at least for now. But Garrosh falls. He goes down. Granit Gaming holding on to the spot. Yes, ADRD is looking for a kill, but they're both low. And that's Granit Gaming securing kill number 2. 2 down, 5 versus 3. Here goes the third, and that's Granit Gaming taking objective number 4.
4 heroes down on Method. Granit Gaming come roaring back into this late game. No shield on our core, no problem. 98, I'll trade 8% on my core if I can take the successful team fight. Granit Gaming had so much to deal with, so many resources. Method literally had to leave stuff on the ground to come back to the objective, and somehow through it all, Granit Gaming weather the storm, and they're looking to end the game off of this push. They have everything that they need to do so.
Yeah, 4th Protector without any poke and the 4 heroes down, that is game. Granit Gaming is going to take this easily with a 3-0 right now. Deckard Cain's bottom left class were a huge deal in the last fight. And then also, Method just sacrificed item after item. Instead of at some point going in, making their stance and just dropping all the turrets and saying like, we're here to like fight us, they just sacrificed them piece by piece. And Granit Gaming, great fight by them. Very well done. Good understanding how to approach that battle. 3-0 victory for Granit Gaming. They just secured themselves a spot in the playoffs, basically, and send Roll20 to the Crucible. Yes, there's a mathematical chance that Roll20 makes it out, but that only happens if they beat Dignitas, and I'm just going to say that's not going to happen. That is great by Granit. Very respectable. And we asked 1 or 2 weeks ago with Method if they're in trouble, and I think we can definitely confirm that now.
I mean, I love Roll20 Esports, but they have about as much chance of taking down Dignitas as you and I have hair. I just don't see it happening, so I do think Granit Gaming have managed to successfully avoid the Crucible.
I don't know about you. I have hair. It's just not on my head.
Hey, I have it too, just not a lot.
I haven't seen my back yet.
Not a lot. The chances, not a lot. See? The banger, whoa. All right, okay.
Took
okay.
you a while.
Yeah. I learned. Today I learned a lot. And Method also learned a lot as well. In that last team fight, the odds could not be more stacked in their favor. They had so many bionic miners. They had the catapults making a problem down in the bot lane. They have turrets. To still lose that team fight, to lose 4 heroes after using everything, that has to be a blow to their confidence.
I mean, the problem is, again, it's a little bit similar to the situation that we saw with the third protector at the bot lane. You have a massive amount of poke for Granit Gaming. You have Junkrat, you have Hanzo, and that's fantastic for you. But if you have that much of an item advantage, you can at some point just say, okay, let's go in and make that move. And they needed to make that at the end, and they did. The problem is, they did it when they were forced into it, when we all of a sudden had the 99% progress and it was only a contested status on the checkpoint. Then they went in. At that point, they already tapped on the fountain. Garrosh was still a half HP. They dropped both of the healing emitters and they only had 2 turrets available. And as they were trying to move in, so many items were already lost. If you make that earlier on your terms where you are flipping the switch, I think you have a better chance. The idea of trying to wait out the bot lane makes a lot of sense, but you can't do that indefinitely. And at some point, your item advantage is just gone. So I think they waited too long, and they should have forced the fight a bit more aggressively around that. I mean, they had everything they needed. It's just the poke for Grand Game that was great. And of course, the bottomless class too. But I think they should have made that move a bit earlier and just like drop the turrets and say, like, okay, fight us right now and we're going to take a game.
Well, I mean, in the last game, you had commented that there wasn't a ton of aggression, but it does look like we have someone from Granit Gaming on the line here. Nande, congratulations, man. Last week, you guys looked at a certain level. What was the conversation that was had going into this series for you to have such a more strong performance?
Hello, everyone, first of all, and thanks. Well, to be quite honest, we were super disappointed after the last matches that we played. And I think it was a bit of an issue that we had in our preparation. We just picked like good heroes, but it wasn't really coherent. And this time we really made sure that we had a plan really going into every single game, and we make sure to follow that plan. Like you saw, we had a plan against it to run the first pick, and we just said, okay, to be quite honest, we need to just get maps against Method, but seeing how they lost the last match against Roll20 as well, they looked shaky. We knew that we can take the games, but first of all, we wanted matches. But yeah, it turns out that our plans were good enough to take a win.
So it turns out. I want to get some insight into your overall team morale. In that last team fight, you were dealing with so much adversity. We saw Method they couldn't deal with how many resources they had. Tell me about the voice comms and conversation that you guys were having going into that team fight and when you guys decided to go in and go for those takedowns in the series.
So first of all, leading up to the team fight, I mean, we were super far behind before, like 2 levels and a talent tier. So we said we want to get to level 20. We will just poke them out of the shrines with the big cannon from Junkrat on 20. So approaching the fight before, we were at a tower camp and the shrine already spawned. So we were in a bit of a bad situation because we can't move through the turret point. So we said we clear out middle, walk from it, we set up potions, wait for all the potions to be there with the Deca 20 talent, and we just slowly grind them out. And then it comes, we just call out, like they have to kind of find the engagement on us. So they will flank with Garrosh, they will flank with Maiev. We just communicate their position all the time and make sure that they can't like get the one shot on us basically. And yeah, just slowly grind them out.
I'm very impressed, man. I'm going to pass you over to Kaldor.
So first of all, congratulations. You guys basically moved out of the Crucible with that one already, so that was a pretty big step. You talked a bit about the strategy against the first pick Tyrande, and I actually want to come back to that a bit, because when we saw the draft, I didn't really see where you guys were going with it, and I was critical that I'm not quite sure what the goal there was. So just to come back to that a bit, it seemed to me that one of the ideas was really that as the game progresses, you guys have more and more unstoppable talents. You have the cleansing touch on Karazim. You have a lot of mobility, so you're trying to get away from the stuns. The inevitable end on Malthael and Johanna with her Iron Skin as well. Was that the thought process, that you're just trying to get those? You would move around them in the early game and make sure that they don't get ahead, and once that you are evenly trading into the mid game, you have the upper hand because their CC chain isn't worth anything anymore? Or was there anything else to that composition that was crucial, why you felt that it was a good draft against the Tyrande first?
Okay, so the thought process, it wasn't really the Karazim pick, for example, it wasn't really that much about Unstoppable, although it's very helpful, of course. But I think it's more about like creating pressure against their backline for a counter initiation. Because if we just use a stun against their front line and Tyrande is standing behind it, they will just cleanse it 2 times and then have the cooldown instantly ready, because that's how the new Tyrande works. So you can't engage on the front line. And we had a good chance in a sustained fight as well, because on this map we didn't think that they will play do support with Tyrande, because you need more clear, you need to push out the middle lane. So we know that we don't need to pick that much sustain, and Joanna with the blind helps a lot against Tyrande because she can't get those Q resets in with her auto attacks. And it was still difficult to play against it. We couldn't quite find the right engage, but like I said, the idea was to let them come in and then counter initiate with Genji and Karazim on the backline. And in the end, like, we just won because they stacked with all 3 of the backliners when I found the flank on the bottom shrine.
Yeah, like, were you a
that's
little
all it
bit
took.
worried about the URL in that setup? Because it was actually one of the points that we talked about, that with the Genji and Karazim, you have a lot of mobility to jump on Tyrande and try and make her the target. And we were just thinking that in team fights, URL could offset that, trying to just peel for her, not really jumping to your back line, but playing a little bit more defensive. Do you think that would have been an option there? Was it something that you guys talked through, or was it just part of what you had to accept?
Yeah, I think that was just how we had to play the game. We had to kind of let them come into us and then find the engage on the back line when their front line is not there. And that situation, basically the last fight, that decided the game was in the bottom lane, and we knew all of the time that Muradin was above us, Irel was above us, like trying to find the engage on us. But that also lets their backline, like, they want to follow up on their tanks, right? So they will come out of their hiding space and like let us find the flank on them that we did.
All right.
So it was just something we had to play around.
One last question for you. We are homing really in on that one match. I don't want to take anything away from the other games that you played. Again, I feel you guys had great showing today. But when we're looking at that Dragonshire game, I was actually very surprised that they didn't try to be more aggressive with the kill composition that they had in the earlier stage of the game. Was that something, and it was mirrored a little bit in the rest of their games as well, that they are not showing that usual confidence that we used to see on Method side? Did you guys experience as well, where you expected them to be a bit more decisive in their decision making, not only on Dragonshire, but particularly there?
I mean, to that question, I mean, it's obvious that they're not on the level that they used to be right now, I guess. I'm not sure what exactly it is. I'm not sure if it's the decision making or something else. But for this game in particular, in the early game, I mean, we know with Muradin Tyrande, they will try to roam and find kills. So you could see us, for example, in the first minute of the game, not even show on the map with 2 heroes. We try to catch them in the rotation instead. And so the Tyrande also can stack her talent, because we are not really giving them fights. In middle lane, we're only showing with Joanna. I can use Unstoppable to get out. On bottom lane, Reyna is staying safe in the back of the turrets. So they couldn't really, I think, like, we did a decent job, I guess, of not giving them the fight in the early game, although I think we did feed at some point a bit in the mid game, but yeah, we were able to come over it.
All right, it was great. And I mean, great job by you guys. 3-0. Have to admit, didn't expect that. Expected it to be a close series. But not even the map win on the side of Method was a bit of a surprise to me. But yeah, you guys played it really well. And especially the comeback on Volsky was impressive. So good job.
Thank you very much.
Nanda, this match was important for Method in that they needed to build confidence going into the rest of the season, but it was incredibly important for you guys because it pretty much seals your not going to the Crucible. Looking ahead to the future, what do you think the chances are that Roll20 would be able to take down Team Dignitas, and how do you feel about your ambitions going into Week 10 and beyond?
Well, first of all, what are the chances of Roll20 taking down Dignitas? Honestly, it should be 0 at this point in time. I mean, Mopsy pointed it out as well in an interview this week. Dignitas is another level. They expect to go down 0-3 as well. I think that's just the mindset everyone has right now. So it would take a miracle for Roll20 to beat them, like find some crazy strategies. I don't know. Obviously, we hope that they don't find that. And our goal, like going into the next series, I mean, I hope that means we're safe from the Crucible. We will still give our best in the last match and try to win it as well to really make sure and move into the playoffs for the first time in 2 seasons or whatever it was. So yeah, we look to just do as well as we can in the playoffs and see where we can go.
Is there any limit to your overall growth? Have we seen your final form, or you still see a lot more potential?
I definitely think that we have a lot more room to grow. In the last weeks, I think, like I said, it was a bit of a preparation thing, and we got in a bit of a slump in the matches against, was it Roar 20, for example? We really did not play to the potential that we had, and we were super disappointed, as well as a lot of the fans were disappointed of us, and understandably so, I would say. I think we do have a lot of potential to improve as a team, and we will try to work for that and show that in the playoffs.
I think you have a lot of room too. Nanda, congratulations. The floor is now yours for shoutouts.
Thank you very much. And of course, as always, shout out to everyone cheering for us, or you guys in the Twitch chat. Special shout out to the guys in the German Bliss Heroes. And shout out to my friends in the living room they're watching. So thank you everyone for the support. Shout out to my teammates. We really did show up today. Like, we didn't get down on ourselves and just try to win. Try to approach every single game with a good mindset, and I think we managed that. Everyone played great, so big thanks to them and Granit Gaming and all of our sponsors, of course, for supporting us.
All right, see you next match. Crazy stuff, man. I like that he said that last week they were disappointed. And their response to that is like, all right, we have to shake this off. We have to improve. We know we're better than this. A lesser team would just kind of fold. They're going in towards the end of the season. There isn't too much room on the overall standings. So Granit Gaming, this is a team on the rise.
Yeah, I mean, they are very self-critical. And today, the 3-0, the German efficiency coming through there, very German approach. But for example, a lot of them are also streaming. And the Raid Boss is one of the players that after a match oftentimes goes straight and streams for like a few hours just to close out the day. And there's a lot of people that come in and ask him then, okay, what happened and how did you guys feel? And he's very open in his responses talking about that. And you could hear from Nanda here too. Like, today was a completely different match. But outside of them really doing well, and I think they totally deserve to move out of the Crucible as a result from that, I have to question at this point what's happening on Method, because I'm not... We heard one explanation, and I think it holds a lot of water with the bans that coming in, the third ban, that also the meta is basically identical with their personal flavor, which makes it a bit harder for them. But that can't be all. There's definitely problems also in the way that they synergize. They're not as decisive anymore. And I hope that they find an answer to that. They are now pretty much in a spot where they cannot move into a number 2, number 3 spot anymore. They will be in the playoffs, but I honestly hope that up to that point, they find their rhythm again, because it is, from like a fan perspective, and I mean, like, first of all, before being a commentator, I'm a Heroes fan, and I love seeing teams play on that level. I'm disappointed right now. Them coming into Phase 2 with that old new lineup was awesome. At the beginning, they come out swinging, and everybody immediately is reminded of BlizzCon last year, where they did just so well. And then it all falls apart, starting with the Western Clash. And right now, I'm honestly worried.
I want to see them return to form too, but as amazing as that match was, we have another one right ahead after this break. You do not want to miss this next match.